There are moments in life when a single choice, a fleeting lapse in judgment, can unravel everything you hold dear. If I could go back in time, I would do anything to stop myself from speaking those reckless words. That night, under the hazy influence of alcohol, I let my emotions dictate my actions. But I cannot blame the alcohol. I was the one who set the destruction in motion. My name is Emily, and this is the story of how I destroyed the best thing I ever had. At 30 years old, I was married to Luke, a man who embodied everything a woman could wish for in a partner. He was reliable, generous, and hardworking. He ran a small business, pouring his heart and soul into it, yet he never let his work overshadow our relationship. He remembered my coffee preferences without being asked, stayed up late to help me with tasks I hadn't even realized I needed assistance with, and made me feel safe and loved. In the beginning, I cherished these qualities. I adored his steady nature and the way he was unwaveringly devoted to me. But as time passed, my perspective began to shift. I spent more time with friends, listening to them talk about their partners, men who were taller, fitter, more adventurous. Social media was no help either. My feed was filled with seemingly perfect couples traveling to exotic destinations, sharing grand romantic gestures, living what appeared to be thrilling lives. I started comparing Luke to these idealized versions of relationships. At first, I scolded myself for being ungrateful. Love is not defined by physical appearances or extravagant moments. It is in the quiet, steadfast devotion of a partner who truly cares. But despite knowing this, the doubts festered. I felt trapped in a cycle of discontent, questioning whether I truly appreciated Luke's love or if I was simply settling. Then came the night that shattered everything. It was a typical girls' night out. Laughter, drinks, and music filled the air, and I lost track of my limits. One drink became 3, then 4. The alcohol coursed through my veins, amplifying my self-pity and resentment. By the time I stumbled home, I could barely stand. And there he was, Luke, ever patient, ever caring, waiting up to make sure I was safe. Instead of gratitude, I felt an inexplicable resentment. I looked into his kind, expectant eyes and, with the cruelest indifference, let the words slip from my lips. I'm not even attracted to you anymore. 6 words. That was all it took to destroy the foundation of our marriage. The moment the words left my mouth, I saw the pain flash across his face. But he didn't argue. He didn't demand an explanation. He just stood there, silent, absorbing the blow. The rest of the night is a blur. But the next morning, as I woke with a pounding headache, the reality of my actions hit me like a tidal wave. Luke sat at the edge of the bed, staring at the floor, his entire demeanor weighed down by devastation. When he finally spoke, his voice was quiet but laced with pain. "Is that what you really think of me?" Hearing my own words repeated back to me was like being punched in the gut. Panic set in. I scrambled to explain, blaming the alcohol, insisting I hadn't meant it. But Luke simply nodded, got up, and walked out of the room. He didn't yell, he didn't accuse. And that, somehow, was worse. His silence was a dagger to my heart. From that moment on, everything changed. Luke didn't become angry or vengeful. He became distant. The thoughtful gestures stopped. He no longer checked in on me during the day or left sweet messages. The love that once filled our home was replaced by an unbearable emptiness. Desperate to fix what I had broken, I tried everything. I cooked his favorite meals, even though I wasn't much of a cook. I left handwritten notes in his lunch, reminiscing about our early days. One night, I tried to initiate intimacy, hoping that maybe physical closeness would bridge the chasm between us. But he just looked at me with tired, sorrowful eyes and said, "Not tonight, Emily. Maybe another time." But another time never came. Instead of facing the wreckage, I made another mistake. One Friday night, suffocated by the silence and guilt, I went out again. I told myself it was just to clear my head, but deep down, I knew I was searching for an escape. That's when I met him. A confident, charismatic stranger who was everything Luke was not. when he sat next to me at the bar and said, "You look like you've had a long day. I should have walked away." But I didn't. I let him talk to me. I let his attention make me feel desirable. And before I knew it, I let him kiss me. The moment our lips met, a sickening jolt ran through me. It was as if I had plummeted off a cliff. I turned, and there, through the dim lighting, I saw Luke. He was sitting in his car, watching. My heart stopped. He didn't get out. He didn't cause a scene. He simply rolled up the window and drove away. That was the moment I knew I had lost him. The next morning, I clung to a desperate hope that we could fix things, that he would return, that he would let me explain. But when I entered the kitchen, he was already there, calm but resolute. "You made it clear last night that you don't respect me or our marriage," he said. I begged. I pleaded. I insisted it had meant nothing. But he just shook his head, his expression pained yet firm. "I need some time to think." Then he packed his bags and left. He never came back. It has been 6 months since that night. Luke is thriving, dating someone new, someone beautiful, someone who brings him happiness. Meanwhile, I am alone, living with the consequences of my choices. My friends have distanced themselves, unsure of how to support me. Even my own mother, upon learning what happened, simply shook her head and said, "Emily, you had everything most women dream of, and you threw it away." She was right. This isn't a story of redemption. There is no fairy tale ending where everything miraculously falls back into place. This is a cautionary tale, a painful lesson that I carry with me every single day. So if you take anything from my story, let it be this. Do not take for granted what you have. Love is not about excitement or fleeting passion. It is about commitment, appreciation, and the quiet moments that build a life together. Once it's gone, you might never get it back. And I will spend the rest of my life haunted by that realization.